Everybody, David Cournoyer talking live of and but we're in three buildings on the New Mexico State Fairgrounds, about 50, 70 yards away from the arena. Our is around that arena are 22 sets of drums from all over the country. There's a lot of here who've been stuck for the last building where I was talking to hear me and this part of the weekend country for the last year. So, to talk about how handling the COVID-19 pandemic across the country and how do we keep up the vigilance from to vaccinations to boosters and maybe soon even for little ones as young as 6 months. Not approved yet, but we believe it's in a nation. And there are 2 buildings here. I'm in the middle of bringing their beer, their clothing, right? Want to go home with a souvenir t-shirt. We can do this banner. From New Mexico to the last couple of days who are excited about the vaccinations. It's the first time in 2020 this happened. Actually, in 2019 it's happened. It was canceled in April of 2020, happened in 2021. This bills itself as the biggest powwow in Indian country. You see license plates from all over: Oklahoma, Michigan, Oregon, Arizona, even Manitoba, and into Canada, Saskatchewan. Lots of people here. They've expected a big crowd and weren't quite sure what these high gas prices might do to the turnout, but it doesn't seem to have impacted it much at all. It's great to be in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's nice and sunny. It's still kind of chilly up north, but everyone here is enjoying the blue, not a cloud hardly in the sky. A little bit of smoke from some wildfires in the distance. but people seem to be having a great time at gathering. And I'd like to play one of those recorded clips for you now. 2 or 3, 4 years ago, they started a horse parade at gathering, and I spent some time with Beverly Bear King Moran, who is quite the bead worker, and she is so excited to be back at gathering. Her daughter Andrea is a dancer, and you'll see them both in this clip.
So I think like during that whole time period, I kept beading. I think I just beaded my way through the pandemic, and I'm still doing it. Beading is like long hours all by yourself. As an artist and somebody who does beadwork, the isolation of staying home wasn't so hard on me because I'm kind of used to doing that. It's all glass, and they're cut 3 times. They're tumbled and cut 3 times. My daughter, her side of the family was hit really hard with COVID. She lost both an uncle and an aunt. It was like right around October. They lost one of the sisters, and then a month later, literally lost a brother. So that was extremely hard. That was really hard. But so I've been working on this regalia since 2017. It's just kind of hard to see, your parents having to go through that. She's in assisted living, and she won't leave. She will not leave. She's just like, no, I don't need to be going anywhere, and mostly worried that she was going to go out and be sick and then come back and get everybody else sick in their home. So that's kind of a adverse impact from COVID. So I'm going to be redoing this. She can still wear it, but it's almost too small. I loved horses. I've always loved horses. It was kind of harder on the horses, I think, because we were so limited to our interactions with people coming onto our property that they got a little stir crazy, and they didn't do as well as probably I did on the human side of it. So
she's a hard worker. I mean, she's dedicated. She loves what she does. She loves beadwork. She loves horses.
You're okay. Both the horses, both Baby and Midnight, are what we refer to as Lakota war ponies, and they come from the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe horse nation. Midnight I had her since she was 3 months old. It's like our dresses, you just keep adding to them. And it seems like the more you decorate the horses. So I'm kind of living a dream.
All right, how about that beadwork? Amazing. Hey, so we're here, Gathering of Nations. We can do this, Indian country. So excited here to have the powwow. The biggest powwow in Indian country, they say, is back after 3 years away. And there's a vaccination station behind me, and Zach Gray, Little Shell, Chippewa, Blackfeet Nation has signed up for a booster. So you're here. It's easy. Why not?
Right? Exactly. I mean, I've been meaning to get my booster for a while. I got the first 2 shots early on. And now I'm like, hey, time and place. Let's get it done. Let's get healthy. Let's keep Indian country safe,
Did you have any hesitation at the beginning?
No, I just haven't found a place that's handing out the booster convenient enough to me. I live a go lifestyle, so it's hard to find that,
What do you think about gathering?
Oh, it's beautiful. I'm glad to be down here, see all the dancers, everyone. It's happy, good to be back after a couple of years, because of COVID. But, getting the shot, doing all this, it's good to be together and gathering. It's in the name.
Well, you're going to go get your booster, come back afterwards if you're not too woozy, and we'll see how it went. We're gonna follow you now, and good luck. Zach Gray, Little Shell, Chippewa, Blackfeet Nation, and the folks helping him with that vaccination are from the VIP Star Network. And right there, very easy. Right, go behind the screen, roll up your sleeve, boom, you got your booster. I received my booster, I don't know, several, maybe 5-6 months ago, but right before the holidays, late 2021, and I haven't gone back for my second booster, although I'm eligible. I don't really have underlying health conditions. There are some of those conditions in my family, but I have kind of decided to put the booster off just for a little bit, and I think there's some questions, right, about what the right timing is for that. But hey, if you don't have that first booster shot, go get it. It's said to, and the science is showing, right, that it's going to keep your symptoms if you do get infected, because it doesn't prevent, right? These vaccinations and boosters don't prevent you getting COVID, but they do greatly decrease the likelihood that you're going to get really, really sick, and they decrease the likelihood that you're going to be hospitalized. So go get the booster, and it's great that we have volunteers there from the VIP Star Network. We are live in Albuquerque, New Mexico, from the Manuel Lujan building. Manuel was a longtime congressman representing Albuquerque, New Mexico. They're holding the Gathering of Nations on the New Mexico State Fairgrounds. You might remember the gathering used to be at a basketball arena at the University of New Mexico known as the Pit, and literally it was a pit. It went down into the ground here, and they moved it from the pit a few years ago to the fairgrounds, which is sort of central Albuquerque, but a lot more space, a lot of parking, and as I said before, quite the crowd. You saw at the beginning of our town hall discussion some clips from Grand Entry. Grand Entry is happened at noon local time. Noon, we're on Mountain Time. It's noon, and 6 o'clock will be the next one, Mountain Time, and it's a packed circle. And I even heard a couple dancers talking about how warm it was in there because of all the bodies in there. The temperatures are really pleasant right now, probably right around 70 degrees, but as the afternoon goes on, it'll get a lot warmer. We Can Do This Indian Country is a campaign of the Department of Health and Human Services, and our partners for this effort are FMG, the Forest Marsh Group, which is a subcontractor, a contractor on the campaign under HHS, and G&G Advertising, which is a Native American agency that's produced the messages for the campaign, promoting vaccines, promoting prevention. And I just want to show you right now the latest spot that G&G has produced that is promoting boosters and really captures the spirit of being able to come together again to celebrate cultural events, family events, large crowds, right? Because more and more people, right, have been vaccinated and wearing masks, and now the boosters. So here's the latest from the We Can Do This Indian Country campaign, 30-second radio spot.
It's been a while, long enough to practically forget a few steps, but I'm way too excited to get back out in this arbor, let my feet hit the ground and feel the beat of the drum. I never thought I'd need a vaccine to celebrate again. We have to continue to protect ourselves and each other from serious illness, hospitalization, and even death from COVID-19. So I got my booster, and now I'm back.
We can do this. Find boosters near you at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
The sound of that drum is something. Saw Grand Entry yesterday here at Gathering of Nations, billed as the largest powwow in Indian Country, and right next to two drums during the Grand Entry, and one was called Motown, and I don't know if they're from Michigan, but I would guess they are, and the other drum group was called the Descendants. Sound like a southern drum, just real fast, the Descendants, but I don't know exactly where they were from. But wow, you could tell the energy, right? The feeling, when you can feel the beat, right? Not just spiritually and metaphorically, but when you can literally kind of stand next to it and shake, that's what it's all about, the spirit of coming together. So here you see Zach Gray, Little Shell Band of Chippewa in Montana. He's decided to go get a booster. It's right there here at the Gathering of Nations. Why not? You don't have to go down the street to a store to do it, or the pharmacy, or the clinic. Right here, our folks at VIP Star Network are delivering the booster to Zach. And he's a strapping, young, healthy young man in his late 20s, and said, hey, it's easy. Why not? No excuses. Let's just get it done. He's got actually a wedding coming up, I believe. So this might give him a little more level of production in the stress of preparing to get married. And I believe his bride-to-be is a nurse, so she's probably also boosted. Let's see if he's going to come back over here. They might let him give him a timeout. While we're waiting for Zach's take on how the booster went into his right arm, it looked like. Let's visit with another Albuquerque Native American. Hey, how'd it go?
It went great, easy. I didn't even feel it. I'm afraid of needles.
Let me see. Oh, look at that little
Proof is
tiny.
in the pudding.
That's the smallest Band-Aid I think I've ever seen.
Right, same. No, it was. I didn't even feel it. Great. I mean, these guys were great. Easy process. I'm glad. I'm safe. Hopefully, right?
Well, and I was just explaining, maybe this will give you just another some comfort as you're getting ready for your big event in a couple weeks.
Exactly. Yeah, it'll be good. I have a big, we're having a big wedding, probably 300 people coming. So, got to be safe. Got to keep everyone else safe. There's going to be a lot of elders there, so definitely want to make sure everyone is safe and feels safe when they're there too.
And we were joking that if you can't prove that you're vaccinated, you're going to give people big hula hoops 6 feet apart, right?
Oh yeah, we have a guy who he's the whole natural path. We have hula hoops right here.
I appreciate you opening your healthcare to the world. That's that though. He doesn't. He was formerly in college one of those people that got into the mascot costume, right? So you're he's used to that sort of thing and used to the attention on him. Before I was talking about visiting with another person here in the Albuquerque area who's the mother of 2 children, and was really pleased that she invited me to her kitchen the other day to visit with her family's experience and how COVID has treated them, and how receptive her children were to the vaccines when it was made available back in November to 12 and older, right? The Pfizer vaccine, and also how important getting vaccinated, adding that layer of protection was for her family, right, to renew its traditions of weekly family gatherings. So let's visit and hear a little bit of the perspectives of this Native American mother who lives on the west side of Albuquerque.
It was hard. It was really hard, the isolation we felt while we were with each other, my kids and my husband. We're used to being around lots of family, and so not getting to see them. And they're close by, but we just couldn't risk, having my parents get sick. My 94-year-old grandfather was living with my parents. Couldn't risk him getting sick. So we went from eating dinner with them twice a week to not seeing them, and except for through the car window or maybe outside briefly, and that was really, really hard for all of us. Just a glass of water? Do you want a snack? Kids being home from school, that was tough for everybody. They missed being in person, not getting to travel for my job. That was hard. I missed it. So yeah, it was tough, but we got, we made the best of things. We had a lot of family game nights and, cooked a lot, made some sourdough bread. I started knitting, all those kind of stereotypical things. So we made it. But we were really, really happy when vaccines were available. They made it, safer for us to go and see our family again and feel more comfortable with that. When not our whole family could get vaccines right away. We had some little ones that weren't old enough. My kids weren't old enough at first. We still have a niece and nephew who weren't old enough. But when my 94-year-old grandfather could get his vaccine, that just made us all have a sigh of relief, that he just had a layer of protection. So it enabled us to start seeing each other again. We've been doing our dinners twice a week again now. And it just gave us some more freedom and just feeling safer. We really trusted the science, where you have all of our other vaccines, so we didn't see how this would be too different. And we just had to trust the science, and there really wasn't hesitation for any of us. As soon as we were able to, and luckily here in Albuquerque, they opened it up to any Indigenous person, and we were able to get it pretty early in the process. And my husband's a teacher, so he was able to get it early. So we got it as soon as we could. Same things as soon as my kids became eligible. They were excited to get it because they just knew it was another way to protect, their other family members. People are kind of over it. I know we're really tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of hearing about it, but I think it's still going to be with us that, my parents just got their second booster. I anticipating having to get, more shots again, but we get the flu shot each year too, kind of a similar thing where it's going to be around. It was one of those things you just don't know. You just don't know when you're going to catch it. It's still out there. People are still getting sick and dying. So it makes me a little nervous to not have everybody in masks again, but I understand that people are moving on from that. So we still definitely try and do some of the pre, wearing masks. The kids wear masks at school still by their choice. So we're still doing a lot of that because we're still just trying to be safe and careful.
It's time to celebrate, which is why we are at Gathering of Nations, billed as the largest powwow in Indian country. People from all over, a lot of folks from the Southwest, obviously, but as I said before, license plates in the parking lot from Canada, the Pacific Northwest, North Carolina. I've seen Lumbee people from Eastern North Carolina, Eastern Band of Cherokee, the western part of Carolina. A lot of people have converged. Native people are relational, right? They like to visit. They like to see and see their people that, they only come around maybe once a year to see the same folks at the same gatherings. This is part of the We Can Do This Indian Country campaign, and we're giving away some swag here, some bags, some hand sanitizer, some water bottles, and it's all going very fast here. People like something to carry their stuff in. I'm going to bring in Robert Pilot. Robert is from Minneapolis and is our Native Roots radio partner. Robert, what do you think of Gathering? It's quite the I don't know. It's like the Super Bowl sort of thing. It's huge.
Or the State Fair. I love the people watching and all the different tribes. And we saw some shirts and garb from tribes that have just been recognized. So those kind of things are really exciting to see.
And you've been recognized yourself. Robert has a regular radio show on back in the Minneapolis, and yesterday, Robert.
Yeah, I'm a legend in my own mind, David. Yeah, but it's great work, and I know you've helped us with our radio show and really expanded on Native Roots Radio. But yeah, it's always fun to hear the people listen.
It's big. It's spread out. There's a separate stage with some entertainment going on. The grand entry at noon and 6, and things in between. At least 2 buildings of vendors, and then stuff happening outside. They must have a whole army of people helping them pull this off.
Oh, not only that, and then also the parade, the horses. That was beautiful. And people coordinating that, and they haven't done it for a few years, so they didn't seem rusty at all.
So you've been boosted? How'd that go?
I have double boosted. I've had a boost, and then I've had another boost. So I've had 4 shots, and I'm still here. It went well. And it's funny too because being old, I got the second booster, and I was tired that day, and I'm going, is it because I'm older because I got the boost? But I think it was because I got the boost, and it was working on me, and that's how I could tell it was working.
You're not old. We're just seasoned, right?
Thank you. Yeah, 61 seasons, right? As old as the Twins and the Vikings.
Now, I know you were on an airplane coming down here. Kind of odd to not have masks on public transportation that in the last week or so that's happened.
30%, I would say. You know, I mean, there were people wearing masks for sure, but a lot weren't, and I was really, really surprised. But again, we have to really be thought-worthy of our people that are serving us, whether it's a flight attendant that are masked up, because they were all masked up, people working at the stores. And so, I mean, I don't think it's a big deal to mask, but I'm not as pretty as you, so...
Yeah, well, it's so hard, you know. You come to these events, and you're looking for people you know.
Yeah.
And we're not all so lucky to be recognized as you are, because you are out in the community in the Twin Cities and Wisconsin, being a member of the Ho-Chunk Tribal Council. But you're looking and you want to see people you know, and it's really hard with a mask on. You know, do I know them or not? And you don't want to stare, right?
People always recognize me, and I think it's that big nose shooting through the mask. I'm not sure. I'm always freaked out because I go, "Who are you?" And then they take off their mask for a second and went, "How'd you know it was me?" And I went, my sacred nose.
Well, yeah, five senses at least, right? And you might even have a sixth. How would you describe this? I mean, I know you've been talking to vendors and what they're selling. I haven't been to an event this big in Indian country in a while. I haven't been down to gathering in years. We need more of this sort of thing.
And to mention, too, that I have a native trading post called Native Roots Trading Post in downtown Minneapolis. And these are the kind of things that we want to amplify, these artists here. I just saw across the street these people working on glass, and you know, it was just beautiful. I've never seen anything like that with native designs, and they're native people and they designed it. Those kind of things we need to really amplify in many ways.
And a few rows over, we saw Ricardo Cottay's art. Tell us about Ricardo.
Well, he's our cartoonist that does native cartoons that I always share when I see, but he's brilliant. It's almost like an old Snuffy Smith kind of the headbands over his nose, and then the white person that he has in his cartoons look like Custer. But he's very poignant, and on his cartoons are really, I mean, he did one on Ukraine when it was happening right then and there. I mean, they're timely is the word I was looking for. He's on top of what's happening in native country, but also around the world.
And he's had some things to say about COVID, things to say about some other issues in the country. I mean, there's a lot of politics here too. That's some subtle, some not so subtle. A lot of T-shirts, a lot of kind of, yeah.
Right. Well, I always kid about the deep north. We're in the deep south for reals, right? And you lived here for a while.
Yeah, this was taking me back. You know, I was a TV reporter back in the day, and I actually remember doing a live shot at the state fair. And talk about old. You know, it was before this internet thing even existed, and this Facebook thing isn't even that new anymore for younger people, right? Right.
Well, what was that? FaceTime or space? I don't know. The one before this too. I never got into that one. But yeah, it's been
MySpace.
Yeah, MySpace. Thank you. Yeah, it's great to amplify and be here, and we're live here, and we're seeing a lot of people walk through here, and you know, I see people that look familiar, but they look familiar because they're our native brothers and sisters. So it is a beautiful thing. When you think about it that way, it's like, oh, I know that. Oh no, how could I know that person? And then we did run into a few people we knew, which was amazing. You know, Boy was here and in his regalia, and I know he hasn't danced since COVID, just because he's an elite elder boy lad from Ho-Chunk Nation. That was the first person we ran into, and was like, he's going, "What are you doing down here?" You know, it's like, I don't know. But I mean, it's great, and I feel the electricity, and people are excited to be here. They really are, because not all grand entries that I've ever seen have almost all the stands full, and they were full when we witnessed the first grand entry yesterday. You and I.
And there's got to be 10,000 seats in there.
I would say, yeah, it's a big auditorium. It's almost like the old Hippodrome with a lot more seats at the Minnesota State Fair where they do the horse shows and things like that. It reminded me of that, but yeah. And political, the person that runs this kind of called out the state senator or
Somebody running for office.
yeah, or about things that we go through, and race theory is one of her things that she's trying to get rid of. So it was the crowd got into it, and we're listening to them, and it's these are the times that we speak when we're in big numbers like this, right?
Yeah, and we saw someone being interviewed. One of the things that happens at gathering is something that we're going to see in a second. Miss Indian World, right? This competition that's about not a beauty pageant, but about a cultural pageant to showcase our culture, our history, our knowledge about that, our competencies in that by our young women. And we saw one of them bebeing interviewed about murdered and missing Indigenous women just an hour ago.
Yes, by the local TV station, and it was really interesting because I always say this too, and I think, David, you agree too. We're really proud of our young ones. They're doing things that I know we didn't do when we were young, and they're speaking their truth, and they're learning more, and they're learning the culture, and so that these people running for the native pageantry, they know their stuff, and they're not just here to. They're here to speak the truth and also be a part of Native country across the country and represent us. That's the word I was looking for, really represent us.
Back to what you were saying, people look familiar. You get that, oh, you look like my uncle, right? Oh, you look like my cousin. I remember some Native Hawaiians asking me once, when they looked at me, are you Hapa? Which there is, are you Native and non-Native, half, and I first thought, are you calling me a half-breed, right? But no, you're calling me one of you, right? Which is what this is all about, this gathering.
Right. And I believe there's so many different looking people, but they all look Native. You know what I mean? So, we're all not from the same tribe. I know you and I aren't, and so it's amazing.
Keep talking.
It's amazing, and just look at these beautiful people here, supporting Native artists, also getting information. Whether it's on health or it's just an amazing thing here. And this is just half of it. There's a building that's across the street from here that's a lot larger than this. It's and filled with vendors, and also I saw that helpline that is from Minneapolis are here. They were across. And I know they advertise on my radio show the Sacred Heart helpline.
Grab a bag there if you would. Yeah, this is part of the We Can Do This Indian Country campaign. Go to vaccines.gov. Find where you can get a vaccine. Go to the Department of Health and Human Services wecandothis.gov website, and you can find more information. This is a water bottle we're giving away here, and there's not too much left. They've gone pretty fast.
They're holding out on the fans until it gets warmer, though.
Yeah. Right. Well, Robert, don't go far. We'll bring you back here in a second. I wanted to play another clip. We're in the Southwest. We are in the Southwest of Indian country, and this is Pueblo country. We're surrounded here in Albuquerque by Sandia Pueblo to the north, Isleta Pueblo to the south. We're waiting for someone else to get boosted here. And Navajo folks, Dene folks, Apache folks in the state of New Mexico. So when you come here, right, it feels like Indian country. You see people on the streets, you see people in the stores, you see license plates very readily from these different tribal nations down here. And I visited the other day with a mother and a daughter who are from Laguna and Acoma Pueblos, which are right next door to each other, about an hour west of Albuquerque, in the shadow of Mount Taylor is what we call it. The Dene have a name for it, and I'm sure the Pueblos have their own name for this ancient volcano mountain that you can see in the distance from Albuquerque that marks the eastern boundary of the Navajo Nation. But these beautiful Pueblo folks had a story of how they have gotten through the pandemic through the help of their traditional plants, medicinally and certainly culturally. And let's hear a little bit more about the story of Shaya and Cecilia Lucero.
25 years after she won the same contest, Shaya Lucero is here to watch which young indigenous woman best demonstrates her tribal knowledge and cultural proficiency.
What did you do 25 years ago?
I actually presented 2 medicinal plants that I feel have traditional applications in modern medicine, because at that time my goal was to become a doctor.
Her mother, Cecilia, had encouraged Shaya.
I was the type of girl who didn't like to get their hands dirty, didn't like being out in the sun, and didn't like being dirty. And it was my mom who actually told me, you might think about learning about the medicinal plants. And it started as an 8th grade science fair project.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, the Luceros turned to medicinal plants for help.
As the pandemic started growing and more lockdowns were starting to take place, my mom and I were thinking, well, what if we don't have access to modern medicine? What are we going to need? Which plants are we going to need? So she and I actually sat down and we made a list, and our tribe was one that encouraged going out in the boonies. And so my mom and I, well, of course, the whole family followed at that point. We all went out to gather various medicinal plants. This is our favorite plant, the juniper. The common one is Juniperus monosperma.
We call it Gunny. You would say it? Gunny.
It turns out that juniper became especially important to them and their neighbors.
It was just unknown what was going to work. And so we gathered the plants that both had the antiviral and antimicrobial properties, and so that we could have that as part of our pharmacy. Congestion in the lungs, anything that had to do with the sinuses, a lot of antivirals and a lot of antimicrobials.
The Luceros recently shared their plant lessons in a standing room only workshop.
When you go out to pick your medicine, you don't dig up the whole plant. You ask the plant, you tell it that you're going to be used medicinally. I'm taking you home.
I don't think we're out of the pandemic. We're going to get it to a point where it's going to become an endemic, but we're not there yet.
The pandemic might seem like it's shifting, but Shaya Lucero says the Pueblo tribe's vigilance, like their traditional knowledge, is steadfast.
It's not going to go away.
And it could be a while before all that happens.
And it could be a while, yes. And I think people are too impatient. We're in a world now where everything has to be instant. We don't have the patience of our old folks. And I think that in Pueblo country, we have taken this virus very seriously, and a lot more serious than other tribes across the country. And so our family has taken that approach in terms of that the virus is a living organism, and we have to respect it as such.
Well, we're back live at the Gathering of Nations, and many, many thanks to Shaya and Cecilia Lucero. Shaya was the winner of the Miss Indian World competition 25 years ago. And it sounds like yesterday. And, as part of her competition, right, she presented on 2 traditional plants. And a lot of the medicines that we take, right, are coming right from plants. We're all familiar with echinacea. When we have a cold in the wintertime, there's a plant, right? So uh, to hear that kind of not only technical uh, medicinal knowledge, but right, some of the cultural aspects, the name, asking permission of the plant to use it, to take it home, and to please help us, right? That humility and the relationship that people have with the plants, right? That's part of the healing too, right? Vaccines.gov can help you track down your vaccine, COVID-19, or the booster. So go there and see where you can get it. And we're also getting it right behind me. Lillian Sparks, who's a well-known leader and advocate in Washington, D.C. She's down here helping the Gathering of Nations staff with some media coordination. And she's come over and volunteered to roll up her sleeves in front of us. She's doing her paperwork. And Lillian is from the same tribe I am, Rosebud Sioux tribe, Sichongu Lakota. And there's all sorts of people here. There's Rosebudders, there's Pine Ridgers, there's Cherokees and Dene, people from Grand Ronde, Oregon, Cree, Canada, our Cleekit and Inupiaq friends from relatives from Alaska, and even in other parts of the world. Lillian Sparks is a busy person who's I know one of the last times I saw her was serving as the master of ceremonies for the American Indian Science and Engineering Society conference. And there's just a lot going on here. So she's behind the curtain and rolling up her sleeves, being vaccinated by volunteers of the VIP Star Network. And we're grateful to Susan back there and her colleagues who are cooperating with us. So Lillian agreed to come over in this busy powwow and get her booster. And I met her mom the other night. Her mom is down and her sister is helping her out. And hey, why not make some time for a booster? It's that fast and it's just right there. Sign up and go get her done. Right, getting the booster will add a layer of protection. It's not going to necessarily prevent the virus, but it's going to make the symptoms by the scientific studies, the symptoms are going to be much more manageable, and it's going to prevent hospitalizations by getting the vaccines and the boosters, whether it was 2 Modernas or 2 Pfizers or 1 J&J, and then on top of that, you can get whatever booster shot is available. You don't have to have exactly the same. I received 2 Modernas and a Moderna booster. I could easily have received a Pfizer vaccine. Lillian, thanks for coming over. Come on over. How was it?
Very easy, super painless. Almost didn't even feel it come in. I think if it wasn't for her taking the cap off the needle, I wouldn't know that it was actually happening. So fast, easy, happy I did it, and just glad to know that I can be in these types of environments, even more protected from the virus.
You travel a lot. You're on airplanes a lot. You see a lot of different parts of the country. I've always been struck by down here, up until now, gathering accepted. When you go to the Pueblos, you go to the Navajo Nation, people are still masked up.
Yes, you're right. I'm traveling a lot. So I was in Rapid City about 2 weeks ago when I flew with my family. CDC required masks. On the way home, they had lifted the mandate. Masks were no longer required. I'd say about 90% of the people were no longer wearing masks. So it was a vast difference in terms of when we went to return. And so it raised my anxiety up even more. And I'm someone who initially, when the pandemic started, was not leaving, was always masked, was always sanitizing. But I even felt myself returning back to a more normal routine, acting as if the virus was still not a threat. So this is a great reminder that we still have to take the precautions necessary to make sure we're protecting our health, our family's health, and I'm glad I did the booster. I'm someone who actually caught COVID back in December, even though I was still doing what I thought was socially acceptable safety precautions. But anyone can catch it. It's not a social judgment. It's not a it's not a stigma. It shouldn't be a stigma because anyone can get it, even if you're doing everything you think is actually taking all the safety precautions that you think you're doing. Um, I'm here to tell you that it doesn't escape and it doesn't judge. It doesn't pick and choose. I didn't get it. So saying that to say, I had to wait 90 days to get boosted. So now was the time to do it. I'm glad I did it. I can be here safely among friends and family. I can travel with a little less anxiety. I can start to return back to normal as we've all been doing. I don't have to feel like I'm cramped up and holed up as much as I've been. We can resume activities as we've been doing previously.
Thank you so much. Why don't you give us the one-on-one on the gathering? I know going into the Tingley Arena yesterday for the grand entry, they are passing out masks with people going in. Huge crowd. Are the organizers pleased with the attendance and that sort of thing?
Yes, the organizers are definitely pleased with the attendance. They have been extremely cautious and were very thoughtful and deliberate about how they wanted to approach this. They didn't take this lightly, and it was a lot of careful consideration about whether or not they thought it was the time to return. They have been wearing gloves. They have been masked up. There have been lots of sanitary precautions that have taken place. You can sanitize almost throughout the entire arena, but they know that culture is also as an important gathering. Not just the gathering of nations, but just gathering as a community is important for our mental health. And so they had to balance a lot of different things to come to the decision to bring gathering back in person again. And I think it was the right decision for this time.
Anything else you want to add?
Well, we're excited to be here. I'm glad people are able to be here in person, join us virtually, online. There have been so many exciting developments, I think, over the last, 2 years since the last time we've been able to get together. I know we're learning a lot since the pandemic about how we can continue to stay in contact, continue to practice our traditional ways and return to how we're able to celebrate as a community. But I think most importantly, what we've learned is how resilient we are and how we're able to continue to love, celebrate, and communicate with each other. So I look forward to seeing everyone throughout Indian country, whether it's in person, whether it's virtually, but we have to keep those connections strong and keep them going.
And that's gatheringofnations.com to tune in?
Yes, gatheringofnations.com. You can watch the stream live. We had like nearly 1,000 people just on the Gathering of Nations website this morning for grand entry. Over 2,000 dancers have been registered. This evening is always the most beautiful grand entry. We'll have the crowning of Miss Indian World shortly thereafter. We'll have our special contest happening as well. Stage 49 has been rocking all weekend long. We have the parade of the horses dressed in the most beautiful regalia. It grows every year. I'm just really excited about everyone and seeing what they've been working on throughout the past 2 years. The regalia, the dance moves, the songs. It has been incredible.
Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate. Hope your arm is okay. Which side was it?
It's this side, so I'm glad you found it this side.
Well, I hope you get some rest. Hope you're going to enjoy it tonight. Just be yourself, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm going to go check out the vendors now and get some shopping done before the crowd really emerges and takes up all the good stuff. So, yeah. Well, thanks, David. Thanks for having me.
Lillian, thank you so much. See you next time.
Absolutely. Take care. Safe travels.
Bye-bye. Lillian Sparks. And talk about, let me show you a little bit where we're at, folks. We are in the Manuel Lujan building of the New Mexico State Fairgrounds, one of two buildings full of vendors, you name it, health and wellness, native vote. Ricardo Cottay, the Pueblo cartoonist we were talking about, he had a booth. Big crowd. Grand entry was at noon Mountain Time, going on 2 hours ago. And as Lillian said, you can watch that online as well. 2,000 dancers. There wasn't really any room on the floor yesterday at Grand Entry. Just packed. And I said earlier, 22 drum circles from all over the country, and just pretty good acoustics, very good microphone and video and audio, and you can watch the powwow from outside, even if you're not in the arena. You can stand outside in the sunshine or the shade and watch and listen to it. And if you want a break, come over here to the vending area, check out the earrings, check out the t-shirts, check out the shoes, and take something home as a memory of Gathering of Nations. I'm, you're always struck by the connections, right? I was a TV reporter. Albuquerque was my first job, and, did a live shot here at the State Fair 30 years ago, more or less. And then I went to go work with the tribal colleges and the American Indian College Fund. And that's where I really saw, right, this power of relationships, where the tribal colleges didn't even necessarily know who the American Indian College Fund was at that time, because it was brand new. And I remember one of my colleagues was this Cherokee man, John Gritz. And John's got a lot of fans out there. He was the financial aid director at Black Hills State College for years, so everybody in South Dakota knew John. But I would listen to John as the financial aid wizard at the college fund, working the phones just to keep relationships and nurture those relationships with the financial aid people at the colleges. We really need that report on where the scholarships went. Tell us more about your student of the year so that we can share this good story of why the tribal colleges are an important piece of, the educational equation for Native people. And not that there aren't other good colleges too, but this cultural side with the academic side, right, was really blended. And to hear Grits work the phones like that was the first time I'm like, oh my gosh, he's really good at that. And how important it is, right? Because the business can't always just get down to business if the relationships aren't there. And I was telling Robert yesterday, Pilot, Ho-Chunk, Tribal Council member, Native Roots Radio, who's our partner on these town halls. I was telling you yesterday, we saw Dale Olhord, a crow, on horseback in the parade. And Dale is a well-known powwow announcer. And I remember Dale telling this joke about my old colleague John Gritz at the Denver March powwow. And so just those memories that are, it's all about people and just characters and people who walk the walk and walk the talk of relationships and humility and caring about each other, not about just getting ahead for yourself and making money for yourself, but really, right, keeping the circle strong, which is the whole theme of this COVID campaign.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, if you missed it, when we got out of your car here at the powwow grounds, we ran into Boy Lloyd, and he's the epitome of what you just said. And I'm always going to remember that too when we talk about this trip. Is I wasn't even paying attention. And he yelled our names, and it was like he was like shocked that I was here. I was shocked that somebody was yelling my name. But like I said, he's a Vietnam veteran. He's here. He's a dancer. He's huge in the nation. He's well respected, and he's what we call an elite elder. So I'll always remember that.
And it's about relationships. And, oh, yeah, you remind me of this. Oh, and then who are you and your name and your clans and all that? Oh, yeah, well, I know another Ho-Chunk, and I know someone or I'm from the Twin Cities, or I knew your dad, right? Or I knew, right?
Well, we ran into a person that used to drive with Clyde Belcourt, and he was telling us that story back in the 90s, early 90s, when Clyde would drive around the area and all the police would follow him. And then the big fun that they had was trying to elude the police. That was what they did for kicks because they thought us Indians are so dangerous. So that was a great story that he was telling us too. And that's something everybody here has one of those stories. And that's what's great about natives is that they tell their stories and they come off funny, even if they're sad, and it's how we stay healthy. And like the name of the show, we can still do this and it keeps us going. And I mean, resilience is what I think of when I think of someone like Boy Ladd being here in the 70s, and then the young ones we see too, the young princesses, the young people, the young vendors, and staying healthy.
And being proud of who we are, right? Because that's so much of health and wellness, right? Is the going is going to get tough. Life is not easy, and it's not getting any easier in some respects. But if you know who you are, and you know who your people are, and where you can go for that encouragement, for that snack, for that hug, for that something, right? Just to kind of get you back on that path to wellness, to where you need to be. That's what being a good relative is all about.
Exactly. And we talked about the planes and masking up, and those are for our relatives because we got hit hard in the middle of COVID, and especially we forget there was no vaccine at one time, and we didn't know how long or who was gonna pass, and it was the native community that was dying first, and the old people and our elders and our language was leaving with them. So we have to stay on top of things in a good way.
And it's all about relationships and all about connections and being able to ask for help. When I saw Lillian Sparks, who was just here and got her booster live on this Facebook Live, brought to you by the Department of Health and Human Services, and We Can Do This, and Native Roots Radio, and G&G Advertising, and Native American Ad Firm, all brought to you. And Lillian was so gracious to come roll up her sleeve for us to show us how easy it is, right? Wow, they're giving boosters over there. Get over there. Your favorite earrings might get sold in the meantime, but that's okay. There's another pair for you to go. Just go get your booster. But seeing her the other night, just in 10 minutes. Oh yeah, I got some jewelry from Bev Moran's relative. Oh, and here's my mom. And oh yeah, I worked at the Department of Medicaid, and we do PSAs too, and media and campaign, and all of those people. We make connections like that, and I think if the world would do more of that, we wouldn't be in some of the situations we are. Right. With you name the socioeconomic environmental challenge.
Exactly. I just think it's so exciting to bring your own truth and other people to bring their own truth, and we talk about it and not be adversaries and listen. And I think we're coming back to these kind of big gatherings, and I think people are going to be more open to that again, like we've always been. It was like really frightening for a long time when we were all locked up in our own houses, so to speak, and doing these Zoom things, and that was our personal contact with the outside. Now we're seeing people, and like you keep on saying, is relationships, all my relations. That's our theme. That's what we do, and there's not a mad, angry face in this whole place. We haven't seen that at all. I was a little grumpy though when I had to carry your equipment, but that's another show and another story.
Oh, there goes my bag. These. Well, thank you, Robert. These We Can Do This bags are going like hotcakes. Bolt it down. Bolt it down, or it's going to walk off. Right. We are live from the Gathering of Nations in Albuquerque, New Mexico, building itself as the largest powwow in Indian country. And there's a lot of people here from all over. And even if they were all just from the Dene Navajo Nation, right, 300,000 strong, it'd be a big crowd. This is part of the We Can Do This Indian Country campaign. Go to vaccines.gov, find out where you can get vaccinated, where you can get the booster. Keep yourself cool with our We Can Do This fans. It's warm in the arena. So if you go watch the powwow later, look for the sweat on the singers and some of the dancers. We ran into, part of this is like who's who. Tanya Jo Hall, Auntie Beatrice was out there dancing. She was looking good, and you see her on social media, being herself and bringing different sorts of awareness to how we live, how we are, and how we might live and be better sometimes. None of us is perfect, and sometimes making light of it with some humor can go a long way. Go get your booster. If you've had 2 Moderna, 2 Pfizer, go get that booster. If you're 50 and older with underlying health conditions, go get a second booster. And stay on top of it by staying in touch with vaccines.gov. We really appreciate you all tuning in to this town hall from the Gathering of Nations. It's a big event, 2,000 dancers, parking lot full of pickups and res cars and rental cars from Florida in the parking lot here. And everybody like Robert Pilot, Ho Chunk, Tribal Council member, Native Roots Radio, everybody's got a smile on their face. And isn't it nice to be able to smile again after 2+ years of the pandemic? I'd like to give a special thanks not only to our We Can Do This campaign partners, Department of Health and Human Services, Force March Group, G&G Advertising, Native Roots Radio, Native Roots, Ogama back in the studios, helping us keep this straight. Thanks for your Saturday labor today, Ogama. Appreciate you helping us out. It's also like to thank the folks that interviewed with me in the last few days. Beverly Bear King Moran, that beautiful horse regalia, her daughter, Andrea, partner Byron, the Luceros, Acoma, and Laguna Pueblo. Beautiful, beautiful people. That workshop that they did a couple weeks ago was the first time Cecilia had left the Pueblo and since the pandemic started, right, early 2020. Shaya now is a florist, so she's turned her interest in plants into making beautiful flower arrangements, and she's been slammed, right, with prom season and all the things that people want their flowers for. Thank you to the Luceros. Thank you to the Moran and Byron Carr. Thank you to Lisa Paz and her child, Jay. Jay made that toast for me so I'd have more pictures to show during Lisa's wonderful, wonderful insights, right, into how they didn't give getting vaccinated of their young children even a second thought. Couldn't wait to become eligible age-wise. It was an older child first. Jay needed to wait till she hit the 12-year-old mark, and then boom, couldn't wait to do it. And also thanks to all of you for tuning in. This has been another discussion. We Can Do This Indian Country. Keep the circle strong. Go get vaccinated. Go get boosted. And talk to your relatives about why this might be the best thing, not only for you, for the people around you, to keep everybody. It's not about the person sitting next to us. It's about our 94-year-old grandfather. It's about all the people around us who have those chronic underlying conditions of diabetes, health, heart issues, heart conditions, hypertension, you name it, right? Those are the folks with those underlying health conditions who are seeing some of the toughest challenges with COVID. So we're not just getting vaccinated for us and boosted for us. We're getting boosted for the people around us. Finally, thanks to Zach Gray for rolling up his sleeve, Little Shell Band of Chippewa, and to Lillian Sparks, Sichongu Lakota, also for showing us the way, right? Leadership by example is some of the best leadership. Don't do what I say, watch me, right? Don't tell me, show me. Again, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Take care, be well, and we will see you on another future discussion about We Can Do This, Indian Country. David Cournoyer signing off from Gathering of Nations in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Bye-bye.